tragic news. Ole Miss volleyball player and track and field athlete Ty Laporte died in a car accident near Holly Springs early this morning. The 23-year-old finished her Rebel volleyball career last fall, ranked third all-time in block assists and third all-time in total blocks. Laporte was set to compete in her final track and field season this spring, where she ranks 9th in school history in the outdoor high jump. We'll have more on Laporte later in the show. Welcome to Rebel Watch. I'm Sudu Upadhyaya. Joining me today is our very own Kelsey K-Dog Davis, Jacob the Duke Man Duke, and of course, Dylan Rubino. Happy Friday, guys.
Happy Friday. How's your day been?
It's been pretty good so far. We got some good Ole Miss sports to talk about, so
I'm excited.
I'm excited. Let's do it.
Let's get right to it.
All right. Guys, Sebastian Saiz is back in the rotation for the Rebels after missing 6 games with an eye injury. That's a big deal, and Browning Stubbs has a report on that.
Ole Miss Rebels struggled with the absence of junior forward Sebastian Saiz, who underwent surgery on his right eye 3 weeks ago. Rebels went 3-3 in the stretch without him, but did receive some quality production from redshirt freshman Mark Hyman, as he averaged 11 points and 8 rebounds in the games without Saiz. Sebastian was surely glad to be back on the court against Florida earlier this week.
The worst part, it was just me being in the bench thinking, that I can help my team win. And, there is so many games that we could win, just for me being on the court, the South Carolina game or the Kansas State game, There is, those things, the ones that, they hurt me the most,
With the big man back in the lineup, Sebastian believes his team can still make a run.
It's possible, in this league, everybody's beating everybody, and then we still have how many more? 6 more games? 7. We got 7 more, and after that we got the tournament, so we're still in that bubble.
Expect Saiz's minutes to increase this weekend as Ole Miss takes on Arkansas. Rebel Watch, Browning Stubb.
Guys, Saiz didn't have as big of an impact right away the other night against Florida, but having him back is huge. Jacob, what was Ole Miss missing when Saiz was out?
I think just having that big guy in the paint, that presence that they have, he knows a big rebounding factor for the Rebels. So having him back, I think they'll definitely have Saiz back will definitely help the Rebels, and maybe they can do well in SEC play.
Yeah, I mean, getting him back's got to put them back on track for that SEC, championship tournament hunt and, of course, the national title hunt, right?
Right, absolutely. I honestly think getting him back will be a huge key to success for the Rebels. Like you heard Jacob say, he's a big body down low. He has a huge rebounding force, but also he's a junior. He's one of the older ones, and he has that composure and that leadership that maybe this team is looking for right now, where they're getting a little frazzled, you have people fouling out, and he also might take some of the pressure off of Moody that the defense is putting on him right now, because he's really their only focus.
Yeah, Dylan, this has got to impact Hyman's minutes as well.
I think so, in some part, because Hyman came in and stepped up so well. He was the size of this team when he was out. He was the big man on the glass, cleaned up very well. So Saiz has to ease his way back in. He can't just come in right away and play at the minutes that he used to. So Hyman could split some even minutes with Saiz, but they could both be on the floor at the same time and have some presence down low.
Yeah.
After this Thursday's loss against Florida, head coach Andy Kennedy discussed his Saturday's matchup against Arkansas in his post-game press conference.
As I look, Arkansas is 1-7 on the road in true road games all season. They lose by 3 at Wake Forest, an ACC opponent. They lose in overtime at Dayton, and we all know how difficult that is. And then they lose their 5 games in league play. But that was the only one, honestly, that got away from them. They lose a 2-point game to LSU. They lose a 3-point game, I believe, to Florida. So they're in most every game. They just hadn't been able to break through, I'm sure, like Mike would have liked. But they're a formidable opponent, a group that may be playing with the most improved player in college basketball, a guy that I'm very familiar with. We recruited him heavily, Moses Kingsley, who went from averaging about 3 a game last year to a guy that's a walking.
Jacob, Arkansas coming up. The Razorbacks lead the SEC in three-point percentage at 42.4. How do you see the Ole Miss stopping the Hogs?
Oh, yeah, Dusty Hannahs and Athlon Bell are big three-point threats for the Rebels. They're going to have to protect the perimeter, and not leave these guys open. They're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and Dylan, obviously Arkansas has some impact players. Who should Arkansas or Ole Miss look out for?
Like Jacob said earlier, Dusty Hanna, he's the three-point shooter that Arkansas relies on to get clutch buckets down the stretch. And he runs off a lot of screens on the three-point line, and he gets inside by driving to the paint. So they need to put someone on real close, play a lot of close man-to-man coverage, and hopefully disrupt his rhythm on offense.
And Kelsey, Tomas Giallo has been big in Saiz's absence. Can he keep that hot streak going as Saiz comes back?
I absolutely think so. I think that he is, I think that he's played well. He put 20 points up on Florida, and I think that it'll just add depth to that team where they need some.
Well, there you go. We'll see all of that this weekend. Coming up after the break, Rebel Watch's Browning Stubbs will sit down with Ole Miss volleyball manager Rob Kudlicki. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
We gotta get back to the fundamentals. I got boys who can't tie their own shoes. Literally. Let me get this straight. We were 4 for 47 from the floor. Pizza party? Pizza party? What team were you watching? We were lucky to win. Most teams that turn it over 83 times don't pull it out. They all play like a bunch of first graders, and that's completely unacceptable because they're all in the second grade. Oh, I'll be filing a complaint against the refs on that one. Kid's little sister runs out on the court and they stop a fast break. What are we doing? We get a trophy for what? Participation. If they cared as much about this game as they did them damn Hawaiian punches, we'd be world champions. Any more questions?
Who's got snacks next game?
That'd be Billy's mom.
Say, girl, have you heard about a place in the hollow where the trouble gets stirred? Come with me, running free. I'll show you everything that a country girl needs. Come on, jump on in, take it to the feel-good part. Ain't no need to buckle up when you're riding shotgun in this pickup truck. Living on the edge, hanging on by a thread, driving halfway, sideways, spitting back, side. My baby's in the middle seat, traveling to 5-speed back downtown.
Welcome back to Rebel Watch. The Ole Miss family lost a member today as volleyball player and track athlete Ty Laporte died in a car accident earlier this morning. Women's volleyball manager Rob Kudlicki is with our very own Browning Stubbs for more. Browning.
Thanks, Sudu. I'm now joined by Rob Kudlicki. And Rob, this is a very sad day for not just Ole Miss volleyball, but the whole university and the city of Oxford. And I want to just start. I want to ask you just, what did Ty mean to the Ole Miss volleyball team on and off the court?
I think Ty embolized what a leader should be. Both on and off the court, she showed great leadership, worked with her teammates. Getting to work with her personally as being a middle hitter during my helping with the practices and whatnot, getting to work with her, especially in the other middle hitters, really developed a good friendship and a good bond with her personally. And obviously her loss today has affected me, affected our team, and affected this community here at Ole Miss.
And what is it going to take for your team to get over this loss during the off season?
I think it's going to take a grieving process first. Obviously, the first stage of after somebody passes away is grieving, and sometimes that involves crying. Sometimes that involves, just realizing what this person has left behind. After that grieving process, I think we need to examine ourselves, examine what our motivations are, examine what we mean as a team, and from there build ourselves back up. Building with, first with practices, building with team bonding, and eventually getting back to that fall season, getting back on the court with her memory inside of us all.
Now, a lot of us didn't know a lot about Ty, but you said great things. Just kind of talk about what kind of person she was.
Sure. Ty was a quite competitive person. She and I went at it a lot sometimes in practice. I'd be blocking and she'd be hitting, or vice versa. We kind of had like a competitive spirit, even being the women's volleyball team and me being a guy. We still had a fun bond of competitiveness and going at each other, and who could out hit who, or who could out block who, and getting to help her out and whatever she needed. If it was she wanted a few extra reps after practice or before, or whatever the coaches needed me to do, I was there for her. She always liked to get the team motivated during matches. We are Ole Miss. That always likes to stand as like one of her mottos as part of the team, and I think she brought that to everybody with her memory, and really showing us what it means to be a team leader, a senior, and having your life in front of you, which unfortunately she passed away today. And we can think about it as how her memory should serve us, and how we can remember her and how we can play for her.
Looking ahead to next season, the team will unfortunately be without Ty, but how do you see the team just responding, knowing that she will be watching over them?
Sure, especially with Ty graduating, which would have been this semester. I think now, instead of it just being another senior gone, moving on through her career and whatnot, I think that Ty is going to serve as a memory for us and a motivation throughout the whole season. I think that if we dedicate ourselves in this next upcoming season to her memory, I think we'll play better, become more of a family that we already are much of a great family. And then we'll bond together as one in Ty's memory and play for her. That above all anything, winning, losing, being angry, frustrated on the court, that we just take a step back and remember Ty, remember to keep her memory within us all.
Rob, you were very courageous for coming on to talk about Ty, and we want to thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We will all be thinking about Ty Laporte here at Rebel Watch. Coming up, we're going to talk some Ole Miss women's basketball. We'll be right back.
I feel like last year, really, we didn't get what we should have. We didn't do what we should have. We didn't have what we needed. I feel like we started working for this moment November 1st. This year we're going to get ours. We have paybacks coming almost every weekend. Somebody that we played last year that we owe, right? And we're going to get ours by how we play all year long. No one's giving it to us, but we're going to get it. We're coming out. We're not leaving it up to anybody else. We're going to go out and do it ourselves by how we play, how we work, how we tackle. We are going to be tougher than the rest, and we're going to get ours. Let's go.
Last night, the Ole Miss women's basketball team lost to Auburn in a close game. I caught up with the Daily Mississippian's Cody Thomason after the game to break down where the Rebels went wrong. I'm Kelsey Davis with the RebelWatch post-game report, and joining me is Cody Thomason from the Daily Mississippian. Cody, what do you think went wrong for the Rebels tonight?
It was a tough game, but really the fourth quarter, the Rebels just really struggled. They only scored 8 points in the fourth quarter. Really, they scored pretty well the whole game. Kind of lost it there, especially from three-point range. So, I mean, just a tough loss for sure, and really just no scoring in the fourth quarter. Auburn got a lot of turnovers in the fourth quarter, too, especially late.
And what do you think this team needs to do do to improve and keep this from happening again?
I think the biggest thing is they have to improve in three-point shooting. They only shot 8 for 29 in the game, which is not a very good percentage at all. So if they can improve that and really also just tighten up their end of the game, because they had some chances late to win that, but didn't end up getting it, didn't get the shots to fall. So I think an improved, shooting from the three-point line, as well as just, really playing tighter at the end of games would really help.
Right, and final score, 65-60, Auburn Tigers over the Rebs.
The Rebels dropped another close one last night as they fell to SEC foe Auburn 65-60. And after the game, head coach Matt Insell was clearly frustrated with his team's performance.
The Ole Miss women's basketball team dropped another close game last night as they fell to Auburn 65-60. The Rebels faltered in the end as they were outscored 20-8 in the fourth quarter. Ole Miss head coach Matt Insell was frustrated after the game and had a strong message for his team.
This is the big time, man. This is the SEC. This is not 4A, 5A, 6A Mississippi basketball. This is not 1A, 2A, 3A Tennessee basketball. This is the SEC. The SEC. I don't care that you're a freshman. I don't care that you're a sophomore. When you get open looks in the SEC, you make shots.
The Rebels struggled from the field, shooting just under 42% and going 8 for 29 from behind the arc. With another close loss, it's easy to see what's frustrating the Rebels.
We're so close in every basketball game. We're so close in every basketball game. The staff and I stay up all times of the night just trying to figure out little bitty things that maybe that can help us win that game, win the next game, whatever it shall be. We'll be up to 4 o'clock in the morning again this morning trying to figure out what can we do because we're this close.
With the loss, the Rebels dropped to 10-14 overall and 2-9 in SEC play. The Rebels have now dropped 5 in a row and 9 of the last 10 games. Insell is optimistic for the future as his team seems ready to break through at any moment.
We'll improve from this, and we're just real close on breaking through, and that's the frustrating thing. I'm as frustrated as I've ever been because I know this team is that close on breaking through, and it's just what it is right now.
The Rebels have a tough road ahead as they'll face 15th-ranked Texas A&M on the road Monday.
Guys, it's another close game for the Rebels, but they dropped one. Jacob, how much are they suffering without Tia Valerie right now?
They're missing her presence in the paint. She was averaging almost 10 rebounds a game, shot 50% from the field. However, Chandrika Sessoms has really stepped up this year. She's a leading scorer for the Rebs, averaging 16 points per game. So. Yeah,
and Kelsey, Erica's been great defensively, but she's really struggling shooting the ball. What's going on there?
Right, and Coach Insell said it in the press conference. She played her butt off, but Auburn really crowded the paint. She's not a good outside shooter, and I think more than anything, it's a confidence thing. It's not like she doesn't practice that. It's not like she doesn't know how to do it at this level. I think, honestly, it's completely a confidence thing. They're missing something there. They need to find a person who is a confident outside shooter.
And, what do you think they're missing? What are you looking to see out of them these next few weeks?
Well, they play 4 ranked teams upcoming in their final 5 games, and they need to find that rhythm and that confidence like they had against that upset win over Kentucky. And if they can play like that all these next 4 ranked opponents, I think they'll be okay. But as of right now, it's hard to see where this production is going to come from.
Yeah, well, women's basketball isn't the only one competing this week. The Diamond Rebs will be back in action next weekend against Florida International guys. And we're also going to talk some football as 6 Rebels will be in Indianapolis later this month for the NFL Combine. Keep it here on Rebel Watch. We'll be right back.
Say, girl, have you heard about a place in the hollow where the trouble gets stirred? Come with me, running free. I'll show you everything that a country girl needs. Come on, jump on in, take it to the feel-good part. Said, ain't no need to buckle up when you're riding shotgun in this pickup truck.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken.
On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to Rebel Watch. Ole Miss baseball will return to action next week as they open the 2016 season against Florida International. Rebel Watch's Bryce Jones has more on the Diamond Rebs as they prepare for opening weekend.
I'd say experience is probably the biggest thing. I mean, last year we were very freshman, sophomore heavy, and this year we're sophomore, junior heavy, which is great. That shows the leadership on the team is there, a lot more mature, and just ready to go.
You know, I think the experience is a big thing. The experience plays a big part in baseball, and especially in the SEC. The best, the most prestigious, conference in baseball, in college baseball. But I think we have a lot of similarities to that team. The leadership comes back. We return the 7 to the starting 9, and also the will to win. Last year it was a difficult season, and obviously we didn't end up where we planned. But I think this year is really one to be seen, and one that people can be excited for.
I mean, from a team's point, the goal is always Omaha. I mean, you win 40 regular season games, host a regional, host a super regional, make it to Omaha, and then win a national championship. That's our process and our goals.
A lot of excitement around Swayze as the season approaches. Obviously, having a 3-year starter in Errol Robinson is huge. Jacob, can Errol lead Ole Miss back to the College World Series?
I believe so. I mean, the Ole Miss has a lot of young talent right now, and Errol Robinson is a core piece of the Rebel baseball team. And he almost batted 300 last year. He's a great leadoff guy for them to have, and he's a huge guy up the middle in that diamond.
Yeah, and Sean Johnson's supposed to be big. Do you think he's ready? He had that arm injury. I mean, what's the progress on him?
Right, he's 11 months out of his surgery, and the coaches believe that really April is going to be his prime time. That's going to be when he's really 100% ready to go, going to be at his best. But with all of that time and all the time he's been out of the game, I really think that he's going to come back stronger. All of this time, all the games he's missed, it's going to be motivation. He watched his team not do as well as they wanted to do last season. And it's just, I think all of it, the injury, having the motivation to come back and try to go to Omaha, it's just going to make better baseball for him.
Yeah, Dylan, he's a part of a pitching staff that Mike Bianco's really excited about this year, and the bullpen is big. How much improved do you think they'll be this season?
I think they take a little step back in this regard with Scott Weathersby graduating and moving on. The storied closer, I mean, he did everything for that bullpen, but now Wyatt Shore is going to be that lockdown closer that hopefully can seal wins for the Rebels. And you have guys like Matt Denny, who's been around the program for a while, who struggled with some injuries and some pitching difficulties. And then you have Will Stokes, who could come in and pitch some good, hard innings. So this bullpen has depth, and if they have that to close it out, and then Wyatt Shore comes in and closes the game out, I think the Rebels will be fine in the bullpen. It could be a very strong point for this baseball team.
Yeah, well, baseball season's coming up, and the NFL draft is 3 months away, but there's already a lot of excitement around Ole Miss and amongst the fan base because of the 3 Rebels that are projected in the first round. The latest Sports Illustrated mock draft has Laramie Tunsil going 1st overall to the Titans, LaQuon Treadwell going 10th overall to the Giants, and Robert Kimdichie going 17th overall to the Falcons. Jacob, who do you see as the best fit for Tunsil?
I agree with the Titans pick. I think, drafting a tackle for Tennessee, they need somebody that can protect Marcus Mariota, get the pass game, the run game going. Tennessee's really struggled in the past couple of years, so I think really solidifying the offensive line with Tunsil will be a great pick.
Yeah, Dylan, Robert Kimdichie, I mean, he's had a little bit of a drop-off after some of those incidents, but he's still projected first round. Where do you think he goes? What's the best fit?
I think a great fit for him would be the New York Giants because they're struggling on the defensive line. I know that's hard to say because they had those great teams that beat the Patriots twice with that great defensive front, but Robert Kimdichie up the middle with Jason Pierre-Paul, maybe he comes back on the outside. I think that would be a great fit. And then also I think the Buffalo Bills, because we all know Rex Ryan likes to gamble on these players and to fit his persona of just his wild card. And I think the ultimate wild card in this draft is Robert Kimdichie, and wild cards fit the Bills.
Yeah, that'll be good to see. And Kelsey, we got LaQuon Treadwell as well. He's projected, like we said, top 10. Who's the best fit?
I think he's going to the Rams. I think that they have people there who can make some plays already, but not anything necessarily like you find in LAQUON Treadwell. I think you can get him in there. He can really anchor that receiving core, and you can start to build a solid offense around him. And you can use him to draw defenders, and then you have other receivers who can make the plays that they know how to make. But I think it's really a good fit for him at the Rams.
Well, before the draft happens, of course, we've got the NFL Combine, and Ole Miss has 6 players looking to boost their draft stock there. You've got C.J. Johnson, Fawn Cooper, Laramie Tunsil, LAQUON Treadwell, Robert Kimdichie, and Cody Core. Guys, of course, Rob, Quan, and Laramie are the big ones. But let's talk about the other guys. Jacob, what does Cody Core need to do to raise his stock?
Well, the gauntlet is a huge test for wide receivers in the Combine. You know, if Cody Core can do well in that and prove to scouts he has great hand-eye coordination, great catching ability, I think it'll improve his draft stock. He can maybe fall in the 2nd or 3rd round. I think he'll sneak in there and be a great wide receiver for any franchise that drafts him.
Yeah, and Dylan, of course, Fawn Cooper's looking to boost his stock. Played well for the Rebels at that right tackle spot. What do you think he needs to do?
He needs to be more versatile. Maybe he's not a tackle, maybe he's not quick enough to be there, so he needs to play any position on the offensive line. Maybe not center, but maybe at the guard position. And the thing with Fawn Cooper is he needs to be quicker in recognizing blitzes and being a better pass protector and being a better run blocker. So overall, he needs to improve in every facet if he wants to improve his draft stock.
And Kelsey, of course, C.J. Johnson had some injuries in his career here. A lot of people say he's slower, sluggish than he was when he first came in.
Right.
What does he need to do to improve that draft?
Obviously, like you said, he needs to stay healthy, but I'm pulling for him. I want C.J. Johnson to do well in this draft. I want him to end up somewhere where he should be. But he's kind of a liability in pass coverage. He really needs to show these teams that he has the football smarts to not look lost, because occasionally he does. Also, he's smaller, he's not as quick. He really needs to work on his strength and athleticism to catch somebody's eye and end up on like the draft radar.
Yeah, and a guy that I think really got snubbed is Trey Elston, an all-SEC safety, great hitter, started for 4 years. You know, real ball hawk, had a lot of interceptions to start out the season. I mean, what do you guys think? I think he should be at the Combine.
I agree. I really do. I loved watching Trey Elston play. I think he's a lot of what you want in a football player, where he may lack in certain areas, he makes up for with his tenacity. Like you said, he's a ball hog. He goes after the ball. He wants the interceptions. And I think as a coach and as an organization, he's someone you want on your side.
Well, I guess he's just going to have to wait till Ole Miss Pro Day to really prove himself for that. Coming up, we'll talk keys to victory in this weekend's hardwood action against Arkansas and get some picks. Keep it here for Rebel Watch. We'll be right back.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Back to Rebel Watch. Before we go, guys, let's get your predictions on this weekend's Ole Miss basketball game against Arkansas. Jacob, we'll start with you.
Well, I think the Rebels are going to bounce back from that tough Florida loss. I thought they had it, but I think they need a big SEC win. I think they'll get that against Arkansas. I think it'll be in dominant fashion, 82-70. I think Stephon Moody has a big night. Sebastian Saiz comes back. I think it'll be a great game for the Rebels.
Kelsey, what do you think?
I know that I have been the resident contrarian, but I am taking the Rebs.
For once.
For once. I'm taking the Rebs, 76-70. I think they're going to be able to pull it out.
And Dylan, what do you think?
Every year this Ole Miss basketball team plays Arkansas, it's always a struggle. And I know Arkansas struggled at times this year, but I think they're going to bounce back and get the win. Their up-tempo style of play and high pressure on defense, I think it's going to struggle. It's going to cause the Rebels to struggle, and I think Arkansas is going to win 74-68.
Well, I guess we'll just have to see on Saturday. That's it for Rebel Watch, guys. Thanks to K-Dog, the Duke Man, and Dylan for joining me today. Remember to follow us on Twitter at @Rebel_Watch, and we'll see you guys next time.